Okay guys, today's video, we're back on the 3.9 Cummins in the versatile tractor. Hopefully in this video I'm gonna get this engine cleaned up here, the mating surface of the head. Also going to hone or deglaze, whatever you want to say, the cylinder walls. Then I'm going to try to get the pistons put together, get the rings on them and on the rods. Hopefully we're going to get a little bit closer to actually getting this thing buttoned up and fired up. Okay, I got the top of this cleaned off. Good enough for the next step. I just kind of wanted to clean this off to get all the gritty stuff out, so when I'm deglazing these cylinder walls that I'm not having dirty grit fall down in there. Probably do another go around on the top of this before I actually install the head. I just kind of went around with a scraper, scraped everything off, and plugged the holes. Some of these holes here that I can't vacuum the stuff out. A lot of these holes don't go all the way through, they're just bolt holes and stuff. But after I scraped it down, took some brake cleaner, kind of cleaned up the top of the engine there, and then just now I just sprayed some WD all over the cylinder walls, so I don't get rusting on that. Actually, when I deglaze them or hone them, you use a 50-50 mixture of diesel fuel and oil to actually do the lubrication of the cylinder walls while you deglaze them. So I'll show you that once I get to there, but like I said, top of the block, clean enough for the next step. Okay guys, so I'm up here deglazing these cylinder walls. I'm going to show you. I've got the first two cylinders here. Might have to do a little more in the second one here. Just wanted to show you what's happening. These are the two I've been working on. You can see these two I haven't touched. You can see the difference. Some might be wondering, why am I scratching up the cylinder wall? Wouldn't you want it smooth? But the reason you want to do this is so your the new piston rings seat against the cylinder walls. You want the cylinder walls rough when you got new rings on your pistons. That's really the reason you do this. I'll show you what I'm using here. The tool. So this is what I'm using on a drill. Craftsman calls this the glaze breaker, I guess. You can see it's just got like sanding stones here, and it's spring loaded. So you squeeze it, stick this in the cylinder, and then let it go, and then you run your drill up and down to make the cross hatch pattern. What you're going for is something like that. You want a 15 to 25 degree angle from the top of the cylinder wall. So that's the top of your cylinder. You want to go 15 to 25 degrees, somewhere around in there for your cross hatch. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an expert at this, because I'm not. They say you go down and up every second, and you want your drill going about 300 to 400 RPM. Pretty difficult to actually you know, you can't like set your drill for that. So it's kind of got to go by feel, and then kind of got to get a little bit of experience doing this. I believe I'm where I need to be there. So I guess I'll set you up here, show you what I'm doing, and I'll keep on moving. So I'm going to move on to this next cylinder wall here. Get my oil on there. And diesel fuel. Okay, so I'm ready to deglaze this next cylinder. I'm going to take my tool and stick it down in there. I'm not going to move this tool around unless the drill's moving. We're going to go up and down. I'm going to try to do a stroke every second and try to get the cross hatches right. So here we go. Okay, so the book is telling me to every 10 strokes you're going to want to check your work, see what it looks like, and then keep going. You are not trying to increase the cylinder bore. All you're trying to do is get the cross hatches so your piston rings seat good. So okay, so you can see here I have gotten all 4 cylinders done. I think I'm where I need to be. My dad's got more experience with this than I do. I'll see what he says about it. I don't want to just keep going and keep going and keep going until all them spots are gone, because I don't really want to increase the bore here. All I'm trying to do is scratch the surface so the piston rings can seat. So I think I'm going to stop there and call that good. So I'm going to move on to the piston assembly, the rings. And another thing, you have to remember that I never had this bored out or anything. So these are the original cylinder walls. So I believe I'm as good as it's gonna get. Okay, now that the cylinder walls are honed so the piston rings can seat, moving on to actually installing the rings on the new pistons. I guess first off I'll give you some information on these rings. There's 3 rings on here. You've got the bottom ring, which is the oil control ring. It is actually made up of 2 pieces. You've got the deal on the inside of it. First we'll do this one here. You can see this one's got like 2 scrapers on it, and it also has grooves in it. That's for oil. This this ring actually scrapes the oil off the cylinder wall. The oil then goes inside the holes here. Then you've got this ring, which is inside that, and this actually holds the oil. And then the excess oil actually flows out of this groove right here and goes back down into the engine there. So the original pistons on this actually have holes inside the groove that drain the oil that way. The new pistons actually have a groove. Not sure if that's a better way to do it or not, but that's the way that is. And this actually, this is 2 pieces too. Here there's a deal here that brings it together. You got to make sure when you do put these together, you do not want these to line up. You actually want it 180 degrees. And I'll show you that again when I install it. Okay, the second ring here, the middle ring, you can see that is, I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can see the shape of it. It's got kind of like a notch missing out of it. I don't know why that won't focus. You can see there's a notch out of it. It's not completely square or rectangle. This is like I said, the middle ring. Basically what this ring does is it helps the top and the bottom ring, helps with the oil, and it also helps with the pressures in the cylinder wall, the top ring. And this ring has actually got there's a top, it says top there. You want that facing towards the top of the piston when you install that. Okay, top ring. You can see now this ring, the shape of that ring, trapezoidal shape. This is actually for the turbocharged engines. I believe the non-turbocharged 3.9 Cummins, they just have a rectangle type ring. The reason for this shape on this ring is because of the turbocharged engine to deal with the higher pressures in the cylinder. So that's the top ring. And actually on the top of the piston, I believe this is a nickel deal. The piston's aluminum, but this right here where the top ring goes in is actually nickel. And it's the reason that is on the top ring and no other ring is it's there again to deal with the higher pressures of the cylinder and to keep wear down. And then there is another, you can see there on the piston, there's a front. Okay, that has to go to the front of the motor. On this 3.9 Cummins, this is the rod. This is actually one of the new rods that we got. And you can see this deal right here. This deal here points towards the cam side of the engine. Okay, so in the engine it'll sit, well, the way I got it facing now, it'll sit like this with the front of the motor being towards me. So basically we have to install this piston. The front is right here, so basically I'm going to install it like this. So that's how that's going to work. We did have a machine shop press these bushings in. If you remember, I had a hard time getting them out. And then when I did get them in, the piston pin, there's a new piston pin, wouldn't go into the bearing once I pressed it in with kind of a rigged up deal on the press. And you can see with the machine shop pressing them in, it slides in with no problem at all, nice and tight. There's no honing done on this bushing. I know some people suggested that I hone it out to get the piston pin to go in with the bushings that I pushed in. I didn't feel comfortable doing that, and you can see with a machine shop pushing these in with the right tools, there's no honing that needed to be done to that bearing. So I've got all my 4 rods here. I did mark them before I sent them to the machine shop, so they are going to go in the same position they came out. It really don't matter, I don't think, with all the bushings being new. The new one, I'm just replacing the one that was damaged, so that's all new. The new rod actually looks pretty much identical to the old rods. The writing is a tad bit different, the stamping of the numbers, but that's pretty much it on the differences between the old rod and the new rod. So I guess now that I've explained what these rings are, I've got to check the gap, the ring gap on these before I actually install them on the piston. So I'm going to show you that here in just a second. You're going to need a feeler gauge to check your ring gaps. They're all different. You know, each ring has a different gap that it needs to be. There's a minimum and there's a maximum. I'm going to show you how you check for that in just a second here. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to check the ring gap here. Basically, the gap you're checking is this right here. This gap, once it's in the cylinder. So we're going to slide it into the cylinder here. We're going to push it down in there, and then we're going to actually take the piston and we're going to push it down, and this is going to push it down a little ways. This is going to center the ring up with the cylinder. So the maximum gap is 22 thousandths of an inch. So I got this feeler gauge, and we're going to try to stick that in the gap there. And I can't get the 22 thousandths in there. So we're good on the maximum. The minimum gap is 10 thousandths of an inch. So this thing should slide in there. If it doesn't slide in there, we are in trouble. So I've got the 10 thousandths in there, and it is it's sliding in there just fine. So we are good to go on this, the oil ring here. Actually the middle ring is the same clearance, and then the top ring does have a different clearance. Okay, so I've checked the other two rings, the oil ring and the middle ring or intermediate ring. Now I'm going to check the top ring. So just like the other rings. I'm going to push this one down into the cylinder here. And it's quite a bit stiffer than the oil control ring. Again, I'm going to take the piston and we're going to push it down a little ways. That makes the ring even so we can get an accurate measurement. Plus it pushes the ring down in there so it's actually going to be on the surface that it is going to be running on. The rings are not all the way up on the top here. Okay, so on this turbocharged 3.9 Cummins, maximum gap on the top ring is 28 thousandths of an inch. So I got my feeler gauge here, trying to show you this. Hopefully I'm not making too much of a shadow. But here we got the 28 thousandths of an inch. I'm trying to push the feeler gauge into the gap, and I can't do that. So that means we're good on the maximum gap. Now if this thing slid through into that gap, it's too big. That means your ring is not going to work. Okay, so for the minimum gap for the ring on the turbocharged 3.9 Cummins is 16 thousandths of an inch. So again, I got my feeler gauge, got my 16 thousandths of an inch. This thing should slide through there, no problem. And you can see the 16 thousandths of an inch deal is feeler gauge is sliding through nice and easy. What this tells me is that the ring gap is between the maximum and the minimum. And that tells me that this ring is within spec, ready to be installed. Okay, with all my rings checked, they are within spec. But let's say your rings, one of your rings falls out of spec. If the gap is too big, there's really nothing you can do. Your ring is junk. You can't have too big of a gap. If your gap is too small, they have tools where you file off some of the ring to open up your gap to get your minimum gap. But these all are within spec. And again, another thing, you want to check these rings on the cylinder that you're going to be using. You can't just check them all on one cylinder. You want to go through and you want to do each cylinder and check them on the cylinder that they are actually going into. So I've got them checked. They're within spec. Now installing these onto the piston. Okay, so now we're going to install the rings that I've checked to make sure they're within spec. We're going to install them on the piston here. You can actually see this piston here is a little different than the first piston I had. It does not have oil control grooves like I showed you on the other one. They're actually going back to the holes here on this one. That's where the excess oil leaves the cylinder walls. So first ring you're going to install is the oil control ring, and if you remember, it's made out of two parts. There's a parting line on this inner ring. Okay, so we're going to stick this inner ring on first. Okay, so you got to remember where your parting line is. I'm going to put my parting line right in line with the pin here so I know where it's at. Okay, so this, the outer ring, the gap, this has to be 180 degrees from the parting line of the inner ring there. So I'm going to use my ring expansion tool here. I'm going to expand it just big enough to big enough to get it on here, and you need the other deal inside it, and I believe I got it. So that one's installed. Looks good. So then we're going to go to the center ring, or the intermediate ring. Again, I'm going to take my ring expander. I'm going to expand this ring just big enough to get it on the piston. You don't want to expand them too far. Again, making sure it moves freely. Alright, top ring. This is actually a very stiff ring compared to the other two. So we're going to get that one on. And again, we're just going big enough just to get it to slide on. And again, it moves freely. These top rings have a top marked on them. So you want that facing towards the top of the piston. I'm good to go. Okay, I'm using a ring expander tool to put these piston rings on. You can see it's kind of like a universal deal. You just stick it in there and then you can expand the ring. You never want to spiral these rings onto the piston. That can actually distort your ring and ruin it. So you always want to use a tool to install your rings. Okay, so the rings are installed. Now it's time to install the piston onto the rod. And I'm just oiling this up here. Take the pin, slide it in. These are floating pins, so they're supposed to just push in. That one there is a little stiff. So I gotta find the orientation of the piston here, which is right here, this way. So I'm not really sure why this is so stiff here. sure why that was being a little stiff, but a little bit of oil there. Got my snap rings here. You're going to need a heavy duty snap ring pliers to do this. Just a regular one is not going to have enough. Okay, my memory card ran out here. But anyway, you just install the snap rings like I done, and like I said, you're going to need a heavy duty snap ring pliers, because it's normal standard one just doesn't have the it's just not heavy enough to handle the tension of them snap rings. Also, this one needed a little persuasion to get the pin to go through. If you can tell here, there's two different pistons, and then I got another one that's kind of like the first one here. This one here had little notches on the inside of where the pin goes, like where it would kind of grab the pin. Must be to keep the pin from actually rotating on the piston, is what I'm guessing that's for. But I've got a bunch of different pistons here. Hopefully they're the same, so I don't have an issue here. I'm not sure about the fourth one, if that's going to be another one of these or another one of these. So hopefully these mix and match different looking parts are the same and they won't cause me any trouble. But I'm going to finish up getting the other two put together. Okay, so I got them all assembled, ready to go. There are three of these black ones and one of these regular ones. I'm not sure exactly why that is. Hopefully it won't give me any trouble. Probably should have put this one on the new one and put this on the old one, but whatever. Got to clean up my block next, get ready to actually drop these in. And I guess I'm going to end the video. It's probably gotten pretty long by now. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.